Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, or welcome to the channel if you're new, because I don't cover Chainlink that often. So here we go. We're going to do a full update here on Chainlink, which yesterday we saw some amazing news coming in, or at least in my opinion, it's amazing news. And after that, we saw a huge amount of momentum coming in as well. As you can see right here for Chainlink, we saw the highest volume coming in, I think we have seen since the bottom we had the 7th of April, which I would say that has happened in August, all right, in almost the middle of August. That says even more, all right. And we also saw a beautiful reclaim by Bitcoin. We've seen strong price development by others, right? So that's altcoins in general. So that's why I think this is a very interesting move. I mean, we're almost at resistance here at $20 and 19.5 cents. Which, as you can see historically as well, is a very respected and major resistance level. But look, if you're new to the channel, you might need to know that I try to be very realistic in my analysis, but I actually do think we have a realistic chance to break above that level, which to some of you, you might say, well, of course we can break above that. And some of you might say, no, this is just a bull trap. Of course we're not going to break out. But I'm not certain if the news that we had, right? Because let's talk about that first, and then we'll talk about the technicals. And I'll try to include some of the general market fundamentals as well, right? Because yesterday and over the course of the last 2 months or so, we've had a lot of great news for the crypto markets, and we should take that into account as well. But yesterday what we heard is that Chainlink is going to use some of their on-chain and off-chain revenue for a reserve of Link tokens, which I think is a great choice, all right? It's also a relatively selfless choice. It's a very long-term choice, all right? Because this basically means, right, that they're saying goodbye to some of the revenue for a couple of years to build up and to buy Link, which obviously is great for Link. It increases demand. It creates more incentives to buy and hold Link. And Link is already a token that is the main token of a protocol and of a product that's being used a lot. All right, you might not know this because Chainlink is a lot of the infrastructure, you know, behind and around some of the major decentralized applications. But Chainlink is being used a lot, right? So the CCIP, other products they have, Oracle feeds, whatever, it's being used. And it's not only being used on chain, it's also being used by off-chain partners who pay real money for that. And what we've seen so far after the announcement, so some of that money will go into building a Link reserve. What we have already seen, you can find it at metrics.chain.link/reserve, is that in a matter of 1 day they have $1.2 million, which again, you might say that's not a lot of money, but if that stacks up over the course of a year, and right now they're probably making less revenue because it's August, like that adds up, all right, and that decreases supply, while also the general idea increases demand. So then price goes up. And so far we have seen that not only with a strong reaction right here from 16.5 and $16, but also a strong reaction with a lot of momentum. So I think, you know, getting some sort of a rejection here from that level, right? So between 20 and 19.5 cents, I think that's to be expected, but I'm going to make a little bit of a wild call here and say that I do think it's most likely, as long as the fundamentals around the markets, etc., stay relatively strong, right? So unless we see some sort of a major stock market dump, I think we're going to respect support. We might have to fill some of those imbalances to the downside, but I think we'll respect those, and I think we can get continuation into the next price target, which I'll stay conservative and I'll say that's the fair value gap right here at 22.5. But I do think it's most likely we're going there. I genuinely do think this news is not fully priced in, and I think the momentum we've seen in combination with the market circumstances are good enough to get that continuation. But those are my thoughts, all right? I will keep you updated on this if you're interested in that, so let me know. I personally love Chainlink a lot, which you might have heard of in this video. I don't cover it a lot on the channel, but like I said, let me know if you'd be interested in that. But for now, I think that's what you need to know. So thank you for watching. Take care and bye.